Yeah, one more.
Should be topic number 4. Yeah, should be topic number 4 says, why are we ignoring UNESCO still? This came with a link to YouTube. We'll watch this video and then we'll discuss it briefly.
Ancient Egyptian civilization originated in Africa has been a subject of great interest and research in the field of Egyptology. Many people might not know, but this question was extensively debated and resolved more than 40 years ago at a significant conference in Cairo, Egypt. In this event, leading experts in the field of Egyptology engaged in a week-long discussion. Despite the significance of these findings, which showed strong evidence of the Egyptian language and culture having African roots, this information has not been widely known or discussed. In today's video, we're going to explore these historical discussions and their eye-opening conclusions. In 1974, UNESCO acknowledged that the ancient Egyptians were of African heritage, emphasizing Egypt's deep roots in the African continent. This recognition was a significant milestone in the study of African history. During a conference held from January 28th to February 3rd, 1974 in Cairo, Egypt, scholars Cheikh Anta Diop and Théophile Obenga presented compelling evidence that challenged the prevailing views in Egyptology, asserting the African identity of the ancient Egyptian civilization. This event, though not widely known among the general public, was a pivotal moment in redefining the understanding of Egypt's historical and cultural legacy. The Cairo Symposium was organized as part of UNESCO's project to create a comprehensive history of Africa. The key question UNESCO faced was whether to include the history of ancient Egyptian civilization as a part of African history. This required a thorough and scientific examination to determine if ancient Egypt's culture, language, and the ethnicity of its people were closely linked to the African continent. The necessity to prove the African heritage of ancient Egyptian civilization arose due to the existence of several conflicting views among historians and Egyptologists. There were 3 main opinions. 1. The most prevalent view among Western scholars and specialists was that the creators of the pharaonic civilization were originally a white European people. They believed these people migrated to Africa, where over time they tanned and intermixed with the African black populations. This theory suggested that the Egyptian people were of white European origin, and the darker skin tones seen in pharaonic frescoes were simply the result of this intermixing. 2. The second group consisted of Orientalist scholars who specialized in the study of so-called Oriental civilizations. They argued that the people who established the pharaonic civilization came from West Asia and founded this civilization on African land. 3. The third group, which included scholars like Cheikh Anta Diop and Théophile Obenga, asserted that the Egyptian civilization was a black civilization, created by black people, and was an integral part of the African world. This viewpoint faced significant opposition from both Orientalists and Western scholars, who often used their media influence to promote the idea that the Egyptian civilization was not of black origin. In response to the 3 conflicting viewpoints regarding the origins of ancient Egyptian civilization, a decisive and scientifically grounded conclusion was necessary. To achieve this, UNESCO, influenced by the initiative of Cheikh Anta Diop, organized the Cairo International Symposium on Egyptology. This event brought together the world's leading specialists and their teams to discuss and debate these issues. Cheikh Anta Diop and Théophile Obenga were among the key participants. The symposium focused on 2 main topics: the demographic history of ancient Egypt and the interpretation of the Meroitic script. However, the central issue of interest to all was determining the true roots and nature of ancient Egyptian civilization. At the UNESCO-organized symposium, world, including 20 specialists, 5 observers, and 2 representatives from UNESCO, hailing from 14 different nations, dedicated many hours over several days to discuss the origins of ancient Egyptian civilization. Among all the participants, Cheikh Anta Diop and Théophile Obenga stood out as the only 2 advocating the perspective that the pharaonic civilization was a black civilization. They were the sole representatives of this viewpoint from Africa, in contrast to the other 18 scholars present. To establish that ancient Egyptian civilization was indeed African, it wasn't enough to just show that the pharaonic people had black skin. The task also involved demonstrating that the Egyptian people, 1, spoke languages indigenous to Africa, 2, had culture, customs, and traditions rooted in the African continent. To scientifically validate these points, experts had to draw upon a wide range of academic fields, including archaeology, anthropology, biology, chemistry, geography, and linguistics. They needed to employ various methods from all these disciplines. This required extensive study and research, representing a significant and high-level scientific endeavor. At the conclusion of the scientific colloquium, the findings of Cheikh Anta Diop and Théophile Obenga, who argued that the pharaonic civilization was an African civilization, were recognized as the most convincing. The final report of the colloquium acknowledged the thorough and detailed preparation of their presentations. Despite the comprehensive preparatory documents provided by UNESCO, the work of Diop and Obenga stood out, creating a notable imbalance in the discussions. Their scientific demonstrations of the African nature of Egyptian civilization were so compelling that other scientists, despite their numbers and expertise, could not effectively counter their arguments. This significant scientific milestone, achieved almost 50 years ago, confirmed through rigorous research that the pharaonic civilization was not white or Oriental, but distinctly African. Since then, ongoing serious research has only further reinforced the understanding that Egyptian civilization was a part of African heritage. Some detractors, unable to accept the findings, have chosen to ignore or downplay this event, acting as if it never occurred. This is one reason why many people, including Africans, still have questions about the origins of the pharaonic civilization, even though science addressed this matter nearly 50 years ago. There are instances where Western and Eastern media, as well as some publications and documentaries, continue to present misleading information about Egyptian civilization. These misrepresentations are often driven by motives unrelated to scientific truth. It's important to acknowledge and celebrate this symposium as a time when truth and justice prevailed. This event was a landmark in African historiography, a moment when Cheikh Anta Diop and Obenga made significant contributions to the understanding of African history. Their efforts not only highlighted the rich legacy of their continent, but also showcased the triumph of their ancestral land in the global arena.
Should be subject number 4. Why are we ignoring UNESCO still? RBG, I'm going to start with you. Real Black Gentleman, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, just the idea, the whole idea, the theory that was drawn to me, that basically describes the whole Arabization of the invasion. The fact that, continental people, white people from Europe, or basically Western, that area, basically the two theories that the white people say is basically the same theory. And it's just that theory is just an excuse to backform the presence of the Arab in Egypt right there. That's all I have. That was the one thing that I noticed. The whole the two theories that the white people were saying. I'm gonna pass.
I appreciate that. Let me hear from Brother Bakari next. Brother Bakari, what say you?
Well, when we go through this, and if you listen to YouTube, the so-called listening to this, this is why I tell people I don't use the word conscious or woke to describe myself, how I see my Africanness, and it's because when I listen to this on social media, right? You can just listen to YouTube now. There's a whole group of Black people that consider themselves conscious. They're in the so-called conscious community, which I call the comment community. They are doing everything in their power. Now you literally see friends falling out with each other because they are doing everything in their power right now and I would name them, but I don't like to call their names unless y'all want to hear their names. They are doing everything in their power to prove that Theophile Banga and Sheikh Anta Diop was wrong and Egypt was not black. They want to say Egypt was Greek. They want to say it was Arab. I'm sorry, Arab. I apologize for trying to say that shit correctly. Arab. They would say it's anything other than African, regardless of how much information that they have, and it's a whole group of them who just really ignore all of the findings. If you I don't know if y'all ever heard of Smash Rockwell. Do y'all remember a group back in the day, a rap group back in the day called the Hieroglyphics? They were from California. Yeah. Smash Rockwell was in that group, and he literally have YouTube that they have really fallen out because he go by the rules and he see that Egypt and all of that was black. But you have these, and they want to prove that it's not black. So when you say why they ignoring UNESCO, when it comes to these people on social media, on YouTube, and people that listen to YouTube and somehow have made these people scholars, they would be part of the reason we ignore the findings. They would be part of the reason a lot of us don't understand that ancient Egypt was black. And not only was it black, if you study, oh my God, I can't even think of his name right now, but he's the only black archaeologist over in Egypt right now doing digs. He had the thing called, he do the tour of the Potomac, Egypt on the Potomac. I don't know if Anthony Browder.
Yeah.
They do everything in their power to say he has lied about everything he's saying, about everything that he do. But if you study Anthony Browder, you can also see that there's a connection with ancient Egypt and West Africa. But back to the question, social media people will ignore it because somehow these people who ain't never been known for other than a jail in the jail and standing on the corner line have convinced people that they are the scholars. And I'm not saying if you went to jail that you can't be a scholar, that you can't be whatever. That's not what I'm saying. I'm literally talking about these people who have never done nothing but scam people. They have convinced people on YouTube that they are scholars, and ancient Egypt was anything other than black. I even had a guy tell me, y'all don't see, if you read this book, you'll see at least 4 of the pharaohs were Chinese when we thought they were black. So that's part of the reason. I'll get the mic.
Bakari, before you go though, you know me, I like to point out the silly shit. So I like the shame. So I think something you said there, I think deserves that. Who are these people who are saying that ancient Kemet wasn't black?
You ever heard of a guy named Garfield Reed? And he's been called out for scamming. A guy named Chief X. You can find you can find the Amin Ra Squad. You can find the so-called pseudo killers. There's a whole lot of them who, and they're going around them, and they completely. And then you have the guy named Ghazi and Ghazi, who I used to respect. Now y'all was talking about religion earlier, and I can see with him being a Muslim. Now I see what that religion played a part in his thinking, because he want to say ancient Egypt was mostly Arab and not black. That's what he wants to say. He say the people in ancient Egypt now, the people in Egypt now are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. But if you look up Mustafa Hefni, who's a black guy from Egypt, he would tell you, if you listen to him, about the black people in Egypt. We just don't see them. They're not put on TV. And I have a friend, Khatib, who's from Egypt, and according to him, if you ever go to Egypt and you go in certain areas, you're not going to see anything but black people. He said, I believe it's more black Africans in Egypt than Arabs. I don't know. I haven't been. But the people who win the war tell the story. And back to what y'all was saying earlier about religion and how some of these religious people do. That's why I said we can't say all, but I understand what y'all mean, and I agree. His religion of him being a B-Rab, you know, a black Muslim, a B-Rab, a black man trying to be an Arab, make him ignore facts as well. So they went from, I was listening to a debate. They were trying to debate Smash Rockwell. And Smash Rockwell was constantly showing proof. And what they would say when they, well, see, in my opinion, that's what they would say. To prove all of the facts wrong, they would say, in my opinion, in my opinion, in my opinion, in my opinion. But it's a whole lot of them that want to prove ancient Egypt was not black. A lot of them on social media today. And they have pretty big channels too.
That. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bakari. I appreciate that. See, that's why I like about Shoot the Bridge. So sometimes I learn about channels that are good to follow, and sometimes I learn about those that aren't. And so, you know, the reason why I asked Bakari to name them, and some of you in the chat were well familiar. So shout out to KW7, Trigger Happy 262, etc. Now you know, if you listen to those channels, yeah, stop that shit. And if you don't know those channels, don't look them up. Right? So that's the idea. You see, behaviors that are not
I'm sorry, y'all can look up Smash Rockwell.
Yeah. Someone called, I think it was Trigger Happy, said Smash Rockwell is a good channel. So I'm not talking about Smash Rockwell, but all the other ones, Chief X and them who KW Dawn 7 and them are familiar with. Yeah, avoid those types of channels. Anyone talking anything but African, just avoid that shit. So thank you for that, Bakari. Let me go to Jose if he's still there. Jose, what say you? Why are we ignoring UNESCO still?
I don't know, man. It's a general thing that we have that we it must be confirmed from the outside before the doubts are gone, and nobody outside of us is gonna confirm that Egypt is us. Really, nobody, you know. But yeah, Anthony Browder is doing good work. Except I have you know, he himself believes in the I believe he's a Democrat, and he believes in the Russian mingling in the elections and all that kind of propaganda, and that has me like because for me it comes on top of this colleague of him, this British guy that made the calendar. I don't know if you guys know of that. And he threatened me with his British mercenary friends. While he's a martial art guy, and I'm no fighter. And he's like 2 times my weight. And you know, I had a personal confrontation with him, with this British guy. And since Anthony Browder is in his clique, I'm like, okay, and then what type of person is Anthony Browder? You know, if he is also a diehard Democrat that believes in all the Democrat propaganda, but still, he does good work. So yeah, what I think about us. Yeah, I already said it. It's our general lack of you know, stand our ground. Sheikh Anta Diop has confirmed it, and others, and many numerous scientists have failed to prove otherwise. and yeah, it's just that it's us, you know. The noses are broken off. There's no reason to doubt, but yeah, why are we still discussing these facts? And yes, in West Africa, there are many traces that connect with Egypt. Serer, a population in Senegal, are confirmed ancestors, direct ancestors, and you will find monoliths. And I believe we should there should be more people studying West Africa, because there are monoliths to be studied that I suspect have similar connections with the stars. I'm sorry for for how I beword it. And my English is not my first language, but there's a lot to study in West Africa that I am sure will confirm one-on-one that it's the same. It's us, you know. Even in my own language, Kemet, you know, Kemet. We all know what it means, and in my language, it means exactly that: burnt, right? And what was that other thing that I wanted to say? Yeah, the Senegalese wrestling. You will find people in the carved in the stones that look exactly like that, including all the spiritual things that they get from the marabout before they fight. You know, so. Of course, it's us. It's the whole continent with all these invading peoples. We retreated back into the continent. I'm sure. Even in South Africa, in Southern Africa, you will find people that are directly linked to Kemet. I mean, we descended by the Nile and ended up in the Nile Delta, you know. So we only got we retrieved, as I said, we retrieved back where we came from, and that's from the whole continent. And yeah, what can I say? You know, of course, it's us. Who else? And I leave it to the rest of y'all.
Appreciate that, Jose. Make sure you guys, when you listen to the playback, check out the chat. Trigger Happy, them are putting up channels that we should be tuned into. Because right now, I'll tell you the truth, I only really listen to the folks on KWAZ Radio. Outside of that, Afro Think Tank shows some love, so I'll catch his videos. I'll catch one or two Brandon videos still. And that's about it. Camjiverse. And that's about it. So I appreciate, the suggestions out there. Thanks for that, Jose. Anthony, what say you?
Oh, yeah. Coco, Coco, I know that you very busy, brother, man. You do a lot of things, and you probably don't get a chance to check your IG channel that much, because I be sending you a lot of information.
Yeah,
I be sending a lot.
I'm sorry about that.
I send you. I send you. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I be sending a lot of stuff. Yeah, and I know I say I'm probably sending him too much stuff. No, I probably need to chill out for a minute. But I'm saying, it's a brother. He's from I think he just recently passed. And he's from Senegal. And he was a student of Dr. Sheikh Anchigio. And his name was, I can't remember his last name, but I know his first name was Abubakar. But anyway, he got a whole book. And I put it on Instagram and I sent it to you. And it was about migrations from the Nile Delta, from the Nile region, from ancient Kemet to West Africa. You know, he was talking, and he was going through details like several migrations, you know, like from the 5th century, you know, and on and on. Okay. We talking about if we go back to ancient Kemet, now we had to know now, we already know from all of the studying, all of the work that we did, that the original people were black people, African people. But there was a time like around 2000 BC, somewhere in that area, where people from these Eurasian people from Western Asia, you know, came into North Africa. They spread across North Africa into places like Libya, was not Libya, Algeria. You know, these places like these people who the European, they call them Berbers. They call themselves Amazigh people. Amazigh people. And then, you know, and later around the 6th century CE, you had the Arabs who came in and mixed with these Amazigh people. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much we call it Arab North Africa. But like if you study in the history of Kemet, you know, you read real good in the history of Kemet. You had around a time when you had the great king Ramses II. He left in details of how he had fought against these people called the Sea People. These people from the Asian Sea Basin, you know, from the Greek islands. And these people were in allegiance with these Berber people, the Amazigh people in North Africa and Libya. One group was called the Libu, which is where you get the name Libya from. They had groups called the Meshwesh and these different other groups. Now, the pharaoh who came after him, his name was this other Ramses III. He was known as Merneptah. I need only could get these names right. His name was Merneptah. Merneptah. I think it was Merneptah. Okay, and he wrote about his victory against these people, how it almost destroyed Egypt. He had to put everything he had to put into it to save Egypt. Where these Sea people and where these Berber people had invaded the Nile Delta. They invaded the Nile Delta. So over a period of time, the population in the Nile Delta, which is what you call Lower Egypt, because you know how in Africa, you know, the Nile River runs from south to north. So, you know, what we look at on a map would be Northern Egypt, would be Lower Egypt. And when we look at down toward the Sudanese border, would be Upper Egypt. Over a period of time, these people had began infiltrating in the Nile Valley, and then around 1000 BCE, around that time, and on like the 800s, the 900s, you had a majority of the pharaohs in the rulers of Egypt, and mind you, they weren't the rulers of all of Egypt. The rulers in the Nile Valley area were these people of Libyan heritage. These are Berber people, Amazigh people. Well, in Upper Egypt, in the south, you had the people like from around Aswan, who were like the indigenous Egyptian people, like the people who, you know, African people look like Nubians. You know, so I'm saying when it came to the modern age, to the modern era of what they call the Egyptology era, where you had all these like George Reisner and all these people, they looked at it like, well, you know, man, these damn Egyptians, these were no black people, man. You know, I mean, not studying the whole thing. These ain't no black people. No, these were some Arabs under these Libyans and these Eurasian type people. You know what I'm saying? And that's where all of that got lost. That's where all that kind of stuff got lost in. And it was good that we had brothers like Sheikh and the Joke. You know what I'm saying? And Theophilo Banger, man, and I love that brother, man. I read so much of his stuff. You know what I'm saying? To come back and get all of that stuff straight. But yeah, I mean, it comes out of something, man. It ain't just like they just, well, you know, I mean, yeah, of course they had an agenda, you know, to take Egypt away because, you know, Egypt, Kemet, what we call it, you know, was a high civilization, you know what I mean? And damn near a lot of all of the early things that we think about, we associate with civilization all over the world came from out of Kemet. And it came from black people. And so, yeah, of course it was an agenda, you know, to take that away. But I'm saying, but I think we had to properly study the history. You know, Anthony Browder's a great one. You know, like I say, Sheikh Andy Job is a great. There's a lot of great people who do a lot of great work. But I'm saying, but I'll leave it like that, man. I'll leave it at that. I know we're running short on time.
No, I appreciate all of that you just said, and I'll go back and check the post. You're right. After I do shoot the breeze these days, I got some other things to look at, and so I kind of don't be on social as much as I used to. So I apologize if I missed it.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry, Coco. Just one thing. I feel real quick. Can I say this one thing?
Azuli. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
just one thing. Okay, just one thing, real quick. Now you remember, it was in the I think like it was around the 8th century BCE, in the 700s, like 750, some 760, like that, where you had the pharaoh, the brothers from out of Kush, from in Sudan, like it was Kashta and Pai and Tohaka. They invaded Kemet. The pharaohs, the kings who were over Kemet at that time, they were Libyans. It was the 24th dynasty. They were Libyan pharaohs. This pharaoh named Shishak and Orsakon, they were Libyan pharaohs, and they had been in power for like over Lower Egypt for about 200 years. And when Taharka them and the Kushite pharaohs came in, they said that we were returning the land back to his people. I'll leave it right there.
Appreciate that, Anthony. Appreciate that. I saw something in the chat from Trigger. I just had to point it out quickly. He said the map isn't of our orientation, which is something we should all know. But he says cartography once again shows worldview. The Chinese, for example, put their own country at the center of the map. I did not know that. That's good information to get. I did not know that. Azuli, what say you to all of it?
Well, I don't think Black people all over the world are going to recognize that until it's in their books that's written by the powers that be. So, well, if we take a look at the Buddha with the Bantu knots, tell you he was Black, but Black people don't believe that. The Olmec heads with the afros are out there in America. Yeah, I don't believe that. So the images, the statues, quote unquote, that the ancestors left said that they were Black. Yeah, I don't believe that. Yes, there was some, after the mixing, the conquer of Egypt, there were some pharaohs that came from Greece and from like, yes, but the people who built those pyramids, and they said that Nubia or Sudan has even more pyramids than Egypt. And if that's the case, if those people are the original Egyptians and they're not originally from Africa, how come they didn't build pyramids in Europe or in Iraq? Why did you come to Africa to build it? So you didn't build it where you came from, but you came to Africa and built it. At the end of the day, if you look at those carvings in the wall, they tell you who the people were. So yes, UNESCO, if UNESCO said it, UNESCO didn't make it public. UNESCO didn't make it wide known, didn't put any propaganda behind it. UNESCO didn't do none of that. So UNESCO probably did do it, and it kept it among a certain group of people. And again, let's go back. Africa, the so-called cradle of civilization, all these countries, none of them are putting it out. The Ghanaians are not doing it. They're not doing that. Nobody. The people from, I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking about the people in charge, the governments of the countries in Africa are not making an effort to put this out. So the Buddha has been to knots. The Buddha has elongated ears. Who till this day have those things? When you look at we don't need those people to tell us that. We see black people still have locks. Black people who still have Bantu knots. Black people still elongate their ears. Black people still have big noses. The evidence is out there. It's in our DNA. That's why we keep doing those hairstyles. What's the people with the red? The red tribe in Africa. I forgot their name, but they continue with that. Who wears more jewelry than the motherfucker? Black people. And that's why I think in a way, They demonize, like when the black boys do the high tops, they do the locks, they do the double twists, because that's our DNA telling us who we are. Because those are those people. If you look at some of those drawings and stuff like that, you see people with cornrows, you see people with locks, you see people with afros. All these people, all those Arabs now that are in it, they don't have none of those. Show me an Arab with locks. Show me an Arab with cornrows. Show me an Arab that reveres the snake. Show them to me. But again, the walls tell us who were the original people. I'm not going to say that they didn't mix with some Romans and stuff at the latter part, but I will say that the people who were there before, to me, just like I believe the people who are here in America, the first ones were us. But some people say, hey, you are hating, but whatever. So UNESCO probably did put it out, but that nobody got under it to make it popular. Like the Sudanese didn't do it, the Ghanaians didn't do it, the Nigerians didn't do it. Nobody's doing it. Look at this. Look at the skin complexions in there. Look at the afros. Who has those?
I guess they get overwhelmed by National Geographics and all that type of
Probably
that type of programming. And at the end, I when you're all done, I want to add something too.
No, go ahead. I'm done. Go ahead. You could go. I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. To continue what you are saying. There is suspicion that there are pyramids in Yugoslavia, but that's what I want to add. There's something. There's more suspicious stuff in that area in the southeast Europe, and in the rest of Europe, even here, this Sinterklaas, Sinterklaas and Black Pete. This Black Pete in Belgium and the Netherlands. At the end of slavery, they turned Krampus. It was Krampus, some sort of demon. They turned it into a black man, right? Because that's how they are. I mean, I live here and I know Dutch people, and they are like, they are like bullies, really demonic bullies to the level of demonic, right? So at the end of slavery, they made it was a demon, Krampus, and they made it a Black Pete, right? And this Krampus figure in Germany, in Eastern Europe, or rather southeastern Europe, they have these festivals, and they don't know where it came from. Well, in Senegal, you have this figure called Kankoran, and well, damn, doesn't Kankoran look like Krampus, right? Hairy, with all those. What I'm saying is, not only was Egypt black, but I suspect in a very wide range around Egypt was also black. I mean, I even suspect that Stalin, he killed a lot of supposedly farmers in the south, right, in the southern USSR members, and yeah, why not? Why not suspect that those were black people? Why not? Why not suspect that those are traces? Everywhere in Turkey there are black Turks, and they say, yeah, it's slavery. In Palestine there are black Palestinians. Yeah, they are there because of slavery. In India there are black 200 million black people. Yeah, slavery. No. We were indigenous, and we were wiped out. We were wiped out. This vampire figure in Yugoslavia. I forgot what his real name is. Who used to pin people on poles?
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah. Who were these people that they killed? Those crusaders. Who were those people that they killed off? In each one of those cases, me personally, I think that's how we disappeared from those regions. And that's it.
All right. Let's hear from Buana, and then of course after Buana, let's hear from Oni. Go ahead, Buana.
Okay, so this is how I would do this. So I'll work backwards. So when Jose said that Krampus was image and idea that they stole from Africa, when he says that, I am reminded by this European painter called Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso took a lot of African images, the things that he would have saw in Africa, and he made paintings of these things. And then he didn't subscribe to I got this from an African person who molded this particular thing. He didn't attribute to that, but he stole a lot of that culture and he put it in his pictures and artistry and sell it for a couple $1 million. So I find it to be funny how you relate the Krampus image to an African imagery that he probably would have seen in Senegal. That's the first thing. The second thing is I want to touch on what Erzuli said. Now, I tease Erzuli a lot in terms of when he references the whole "we was here first" idea. But where I would give Erzuli credit is that I have physically seen, there's a guy who has a YouTube channel called Ace Live. He's a Haitian guy out of South Florida. He went to Mexico and he went to the different museums in Mexico and he was showing the images of the statues that was in Mexico BC, thousands of years ago in Mexico. And if you see some of the statues, they look like Black people, really and truly. You have to check it out for yourself. You don't believe me? I want your brothers and sisters under the sound of my voice to do their own personal research. Go to Ace Live when he traveled to Mexico and when he went into the museum and the statues that were there, they were African images. So when he say that we was here first, I don't go all the way with him on it, but I understand what he means because there were Africans who I believe who reached this side of the world way before Christopher Columbus. I believe that to be really believe that, and that's why Ivan Van Sertima would have put that in his book. Okay, so I just really wanted to touch there. In terms of Anthony McFall and what he said, I really appreciated his commentary because you could tell that he is a student of Egyptology. You could tell that he's a student of this information. And I'm when he mentioned Tahaka and the fact that there was a Libyan kingdom before Tahaka came, I didn't know that. And that was something that he kind of like really elucidated the idea of this Black king coming into power into Egypt. Because I knew about the Haka, but I didn't know about the Libyan control over that area, and the fact that he spoke to of the specificities in these kinds of things. You could tell he really did a whole lot of review on the information. But in terms of the prompt itself, let me address the prompt itself. Because there is a battle right now in this whole Egyptian world. There's an Egypt guy called Dr. Zahi Hawass. Zahi Hawass. Zahi Hawass.
Yeah.
And it's his contention that Egypt wasn't Black. It was really a European, blah, 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 blah. Even though he's an Egyptologist, he is a Eurocentric kind of Egyptologist. He takes the whole idea of sub-Saharan Africa or Black Africa outside of Egypt. Then you have the people like Shikanta Diop and Dr. Theophile Obenga and contemporaries. Their contemporaries like Dr. Yosef Van Yochanan and other people who would have came to the West to convey their messages to Western audiences. So you have this push and pull between those two ideas. And you have Negroes who Brother Bakari would have mentioned, the Tiger Squad and these kinds of people who think that the white man ice is colder. They take up the position of brothers, Black Egyptologists like Zahi Hawass to say that, okay, we are just a bunch of Egyptologists or Egyptomaniacs. We want to see Egypt as the center of the world. We can't see nothing different. We just a bunch of Afrocentrics. We are wrong in our scholarship. But let's be very clear. Dr. Shakanta Diop was scientist, par excellence in their time. And see, there are some black men who don't believe that black men could be scientific or professional or at the top of their craft. Who are they to question white men? This is what some black people believe. Who are they to question black men? Because in doing that, we are turning the world on its head. Just like the slave back in the day, when the when the black man used to try to escape the plantation, say, "Where we going?" You know what I mean? Where we go? We can't escape this plantation. This is the best we ever had it. How dare you question what the plantation owner trying to? So these guys don't believe in free thinking and freedom, or the black man can actually have an idea that's original, or to be superior to any white kind of thinking. These kinds of Negroes is running around here, and they unfortunately they proliferate things like Sonetta TV and all these other things. Also, you got to remember now, people with these kinds of there are some brothers who are following the money train. So they take up these kinds of different kinds of things with the algorithms and following ideas of Hebrew Israelite and all these other things, these ridiculous theories, because they pay in bills. They gotta pay bills. They gotta keep certain things popular, even though the information might be wrong and erroneous. You gotta keep the algorithm going because that's how they pay their rent. So you can't really take them seriously because really and truly they are what I consider to be mercenaries. But even within that, they're always going to be the good with the bad. You have the students of the Ben Buchanans and John Henry Clarks and the Theophilo Bingham. You have Jabari, brothers like Dr. Jabari Osaze. You have people like Sick Killer who trying to help and assist in bringing the truth, but it's always going to be masked among the people who really just trying to pay their rent. So they're gonna create all kind of narratives, and you're gonna have the push and pull with the black men who always gonna believe the white man ice is colder. So it's a lot of complexity to these kinds of arguments, and you really have to be within these kinds of channels to understand what's actually going on. But I leave it to the brothers like Anthony and Kemji, Verse, and all these brothers who are really sincerely interested, trigger happy, sincerely interested in this kind of historical information, to help in and assisting people, to educate the people and bring true information forward. But like I said, man, I will leave it there. But I was just trying to kind of like cipher through a whole lot of that complexity and siphon it down to kind of make it simple for anyone who would probably want to listen to this kind of information. But I'll leave it there, though. I'll leave it there.
Appreciate that, Buana. Buana, real quick, you speak French, right?
Conversational. I ain't native, but I conversational. Yeah.
Okay. Because I this paper that or papers that Trigger Happy is referring to in the chat that's in French would have been kind of cool to have a person who could interpret it, and we have a discussion.
Between me and
live about it. So
between me and Orzuli, we can figure it out. Me and Orzuli can figure it out.
Okay. I'm gonna look up the papers. I'll reach out to two of y'all during the week. All right. Last but not least, let's hear from my brother Oni from the pro-black perspective. What say you?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I actually heard of this debate a long time ago. There was a bookshop. There's a bookstore on near Fulton, and the brother was recommending books to me and recommending scholars back in the day, and he was like, he spoke of this debate like 2 African scholars versus 18 European scholars. Sounds like a fair fight, and of course the Africans won. So it's definitely something that more of us should talk about, discuss, that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, Egypt has a special role in the history of humanity. Like a lot of us don't realize this, but all of the Abrahamic faiths are kind of center around Egypt. I mean, I never read their books, obviously, but from what I gather, like if you go into the story of Moses, he's allegedly the Pharaoh's, adopted son. If you go to the story of Jesus, he goes and hides out in Egypt when he's gonna be killed in Israel or some shit, right? You go to, the Muslims. I don't know much. I don't know if Muhammad actually went to Egypt. I don't know, but eventually the Muslims take over Egypt and they preserve Western, like they preserve the Egyptian knowledge, and it eventually becomes foundational to Western culture. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously they also preserve the Roman history, they also preserve the Greeks, but basically it's the Arab conquest of North Africa, and then eventually uh like that preservation of knowledge that they had when they were eventually defeated in Al-Andalus. That preservation of knowledge was transmitted to become foundational to what we call the Renaissance, and Europeans now being the dominant force on the planet. So, or Europeans eventually becoming the dominant force on the planet. Basically, Egypt is central because it is probably one of the oldest repositories of human knowledge, right? One of the things about the history of humanity, right, is that everybody knew for thousands of years, everybody knew that the ancient Egyptians were black. That's why I don't even understand people saying the ancient Egyptians weren't black, especially black people, because it doesn't even make any sense to me, because everybody knew it. Okay, everybody knew it. It's in the Bible, for crying out loud, right? Like it's literally one of the more popular stories of the Bible, of the Old Testament, is the story of Noah. And Noah has 3 children, and his children are Ham, Japheth, and Shem. And everybody, like most people would say, hey, you know what? Those describe the 3 races known in the ancient world, right? The Hamites, the Shemites, the Semites, and the Japheths, right? Whatever the Hamites, whatever the Shemites, the Semites, and the Japhet are, who knows, right? But who the Hamites were clearly African. And how you know this is because the children that are named from the Hamites, right, are Cush, Mizraim, Palestine, obviously, and no, Canaan, right? Canaan, and so on and so forth, and Phoenicia, right? And if you look at those those children names, you realize those are kingdoms. Those are ancient kingdoms, right? Now you then kind of extrapolate that the children of Japhet and the children of Shem are also ancient kingdoms, but nobody knows who those kingdoms are. But we know, or not that nobody knows, but it's just, they're all old names, so you're not really sure. But Cush, you know what I mean? It's plain as day, right? Black. Mizraim was Egypt, plain as day. So what you're telling, what, and of course Canaan as well. But what you're telling is, from this story was, oh, these are the black kingdoms because they're the children of the black race, right? Now some people are arguing, well, all of them had to be black if the first one was black. You know what I mean? But that's not. I don't think. I think it's allegory. I don't think you should take it too literally. I think it was more of a historical lesson. Whatever. My point is this: in regards to Egypt and what have you, right? Martin Delaney. Okay, no, matter of fact, it was David Walker. David Walker outlines, oh yeah, how Hannibal was black and how Egypt was black. Okay, David Walker writes his book. This same book, which is actually that bookstore was telling me to go read David Walker, right? But David Walker was writing this book before Nat Turner even did his revolution. In fact, some people think that he inspired Nat Turner. The point is that David Walker, 1850 something, 1840 something, is talking about a black Egypt. Okay, and this is a man who was enslaved, right? Everybody knows that Egypt was black. What happened was white folk had a political interest in not saying that Egypt was black because they were trying to say that black people are inferior. That's it. Because how can you say black people are inferior if they had the best civilization in the history of humankind? You know, it's just not something that's consistent to say, hey, you know what? Black people are stupid, black people are dumb, black people don't know math, black people are so forth. And they have the best, their best civilization in human history, right? Phenomenal to the point where even in the industrial age, a lot of the, you know, with all the heavy machinery, they couldn't replicate some of the results that were done in Egypt, right? So they had a political interest in that. It was false. Everybody and their mother knows it. So, you know, me hearing that black folk are saying it's false, like, it just sounds stupid. Like, it just sounds stupid because the ancient Greeks themselves would just talk about how Egyptians were black. They were talking about how the Egyptians were black so much that when they saw that there were people in southern Russia, right, who the Colchis, I guess, who were circumcising people and had dark skin or whatever, they were like, oh, they must be like the Egyptians because they have dark skins and they circumcise because they're black and they circumcise. So I mean, and just to land the plane, I think that a lot of people, I think African people did travel around the world. One of my favorite books, like I recommend 3 history books all the time. The 3 history books, obviously, Destruction of Black Civilization. Shout out to the matron. She's reading that right now for you guys. So definitely check her out. She's been reading, I think it was 7 p.m. or maybe 8 p.m. I think 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. She's reading 7 p.m. for the last few days. So you guys check her out. She's definitely reading the book. That's one of those books you should read. And I tell you to read it. You should read it every year, but I don't do that. So I can't really say that anymore. But read Destruction of Black Civilization. The other one is Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. Okay, because Azuni is saying stuff about the ancient Arabians or the ancient Middle Eastern, how they were blah blah blah. Like, yeah, that's documented.
Let's get Oni.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing real quick? It was a sister that wrote that book.
Drusilla Dudley Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I want to say.
Oh yeah. So Drusilla Dudley Houston. Yeah, that's like I said, that's one of those top 3 history books again. And the last one, of course, is Robin Walker. That one's huge. It's good. Robin Walker. Sorry, what was it called? When We Ruled, right?
When We Ruled.
I don't know if we can get him on the show. But I mean, I can't really connect you on him. But that's a good brother, right? He's alive right now. He's I think he was an economist, and he said, "Let me just put together this history," and he did. And it's a really excellent book. So those 3 books. But like, yeah, you can see the African presence in other countries, absolutely. But I don't think that you can use that to say, hey, you know what, the Native Americans don't exist or some shit, or the Native Americans are perpetrating a fraud. No, I think that like in the Wonderful Ethiopians of the Kushite Empire, we know that African people went to other countries and brought in their civilization for what it's worth. Now, I have a hypothesis as to why we did that, but that's just going to be a little the tangent. But my point is that we know that Black people had established different, if you will, colonies around the world, right? We know that we've done that. Did it backfire? Absolutely. Did it backfire? Absolutely. But we're not. Well, I do not subscribe to the view that we are replacing other people. But as far as why people don't understand the UNESCO thing, I think again, like I said, white people have a political interest in saying that Black folk are inferior. That's it. White folk have and look, I don't blame white people for that. I think white people should absolutely try to advocate for their own superiority. Because that's what we should be doing. We should be advocating for our own superiority. And I'm not saying, take it to Razuli's level where we say that everybody and their mother Black. No, but absolutely, I think that when we are Black and when we are doing good shit, we should be putting that forward. You know what I mean? Black man does this, we should put that forward, and we should be because the power of images. Even though it made it seem like I wasn't really about media. I'll tell y'all this, as a matter of fact. Somebody just wrote on Twitter, and I'm gonna end it here. Sorry, but somebody wrote on Twitter, "Why don't you think about suicide?" And it's like that never crossed my mind. And I said, "Look, that never crossed my mind, but maybe there's something in the media that's making that cross some of you guys' mind. And have you guys heard of the Were-Her effect?" So a long time ago, I decided to look into racism, and a lot of racism, like where the racist ideas come from was this guy named Goethe. Goethe Now it's not him, it's just that he was such a good writer that somebody was like, white people got to be superior because this guy is such a good writer, you know? But anyway, so I read Gertrude's Sorrows That Were Her. It's a good book. But in the book, the protagonist, spoiler alert, protagonist commits suicide, right? And then after that book was published, a lot of other people started committing suicide too. So they call it the Were Her effect, because when people publicize or romanticize suicide, a lot of people, like humans, will do that. They'll go along with it. So media is a very powerful thing. And that's why, again, white folk are not going to give you good media so that you can feel good about yourself. They want you to feel like shit. They don't want you standing up. And at the same time, you have to give out good media for yourself. And so, yeah, you take Egypt. And first off, because the Egyptians were black, they were African. Some of them are your ancestors, right? But also, like, take it. It's the best fucking civilization on the planet. That's it.
Yeah, well said at the end there. Just take it, man. The shit, it's the best thing we've ever seen on the planet. Just go ahead and take it. You know, take it. Is there any last thoughts? I know we've gone over time tonight. I apologize. But hanging out with you guys is always a highlight of my week usually. So I appreciate being here with you guys. I hope you guys. Pardon me?
We can't go another hour?
Nah, we won't go another hour. But
okay, but I'm sorry, Goku.
That's what she said, right? But you know, I appreciate the conversation, and tonight, like, was a real good conversation. Is there any last thoughts on this prompt? Well, on the screen, I have up the page that Trigger says he thinks the video comes from here. Hey. And Zuli made the point that I could translate it to English, and I did it. So what I might do is I might actually read some of these off during some of the weeks. We'll see what happens. But maybe I'll go in there and read some of the articles on there. All right, Anthony, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just one thing. I was just thinking back, you know, like when Brother Bakari was talking about those groups. Now, you know, I mean, not against Brother Bakari, but I'm just saying that Amara Squad group, you know, well, I don't know if they done had a change of mind with her, but you know, that chick, that sister, Mayat, Oya Mayat, no, she pretty much in the camp of, you know, a Black Egypt thing. Now, and look at, hey, and I got a whole lot of problems with that sister because she do a whole lot of low vibrational stuff.
Absolutely.
But I'm saying, yeah, a whole lot of it. But I'm saying, but you know, she pretty much she in the camp of Black Egypt. I mean, because it's in her name, Oya Mayat. You know, they always talking about the Mayat, you know, about the principles of Mayat. So I mean, I didn't know, maybe they had some kind of a split in their organization or something like that. I guess, I mean, had you heard of it?
That's why I be talking about these people on here be scamming all the time, and that's why I say I get away from certain things and just completely turn YouTube off. And I'm honest, man, because folks be scamming. His name is Ain't that damn Egypt? The Uncle Cat. You know, that's his name.
Oh, but yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
They would tell you Egypt is not black, but they also just remember this. When them people start screaming, cut the check, cut the check, cut the check, the alphabet group, ADOS, right? All of them went to, you know, we African Americans, we Black Americans. We ain't Africans or all this time, you know, we got African in our DNA. They all switch up, man. It's all a hustle.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. That's what I was wondering. Was it like some kind of split? Because, you know, I always heard her talk about, you know, the commit thing. And then I didn't know, you know, how to arrest, because I know she wasn't with that group anymore. Yeah.
No, well, I don't know if she still rock with Unc. I know that, but
she still talk about
you know, like you say, you got some problems with her. She be rocking with. She give Tariq Nasheed flowers.
Yeah. She sure do. Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, because I didn't know maybe they had some kind of breakout or something like that, because I thought they was with the Black Egypt, the Black Kemet thing.
They insult all the black people that came before them. God forbid if you mention Dr. Sebi. Oh my goodness. Ooh, if you really want to hear her and Unc and them go in, mention Dr. Sebi. Not just saying Dr. Sebi was right about everything, but I know he was right about some things.
That's why I got problems.
I don't think, they always, man, it's all a scam. It's all a hustle. That's why I said I started having problems with these folks and started having problems with this thing on YouTube. And that's why I say I got to win. I had to get back to being me. Because ain't none of these folks real. That's why I'm always like, man, they scam and they scam and they scam. And you can just smell them. If you truly just listen to these folks, you can just tell they scamming. But it's like they done fell out with Smash Rockwell. You know, Smash Rockwell was with them too. Smash Rockwell was with him.
I got to get up on him. I hadn't heard of him.
Yeah, he was with the Amin Ra Squad. You remember the rap group, the Hieroglyphics? Do you remember the rap group back in the day, Hieroglyphics?
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, I remember them.
Okay, Smash Rockwell is Casual from the Hieroglyphics.
Oh, I didn't even know that. You learn. I'm educated now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he said he been studying this his whole life with his with you know, since he was little. His mama and everything they've been teaching him. I think that's what he said. His mama. Yeah, he started. He said he studied Nubia.
Yeah, I know they came out of the Wapian man.
He really studied on it. Yeah, that's where Unc come from. That New Wapian thing. They all they're all hustling. All of them. This is why, you know, I'm Black YouTube, and I'm gonna say this, and then we can pass the mic. And Black YouTube, for the most part, is 98% failure. I'm just being honest. YouTube could have been great, but Black YouTube, as far as I'm concerned and what I see, that's why I say I had to start going to different places, seeing and doing different things, because it's like 98% failure. It really showed Black people mentality and how we feel about one another and how we willing to scam one another and how we have the utmost respect for white folk and anybody that ain't Black.
Yeah, to Afro Native World. I used to be into Dr. Mayat for a while there, but like Anthony is saying, and I think Bakari might be saying as well, but Anthony mentioned it squarely. She talks a lot of along a lot of low vibrational viewpoints, man. I forget what it was I was listening to, and I was like, God, I can't believe this is a conscious channel. I forgot what it was. That wasn't that long ago too, maybe last year or the year before, and I just couldn't believe it. So, you know, I'm sure she does. You know, it's like it's kind of this human thing, right, that I have an issue with sometimes. It's like, are we gonna be what's the word, are we gonna
you can't be wishy-washy, you know?
Yeah, you can't be wishy-washy, flip-flopping. You know, it has to be to elevate. That's my thing. And then to come back and kind of give props to some low vibrational stuff, I'm just not cool with that stuff. But anyway, does anyone want to shout out anything this week? Let's start with Jose. Jose, what you want to shout out this week?
Shout out to you, the panel, and the chat.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Jose. Thanks for coming through. RBG, what you want to shout out this week?
Oh no, I don't have anything. Thank you for letting me speak. Thank you.
No problem. But Bakari, what you want to shout out this week?
What I want to shout out is, look, man, if y'all in the Atlanta area, March 8th, y'all go check out 1738 African Cuisine and More in Powder Springs, Georgia. We will be showing the fight of Anthony Joshua, Nigeria, versus Francis Ngannou, Cameroon. And on that undercard, it will be the Bronze Bomber from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Deontay Wilder, versus Big Bang Zilly Zane. So so y'all come through. Let's help build these brothers' business up. It's African and African Americans working together. The and more, the African cuisine and more. The and more is they also have African American food, soul food. Will be on the menu. We'll be on the menu from now on. So y'all come through, check it out, support Black businesses. Hey, look, y'all can go through, check my channel out, and check out shit, I think I got 4 videos on it now. I'm gonna take down 3 of them because I'm starting all the way over. But I had the one on there today with my barber. We call him Pi Bennett, but Ogun Dabade, talking about African spirituality. So y'all can go through, y'all can check that out.
I seen it.
But that's what I have to shout out. Support Black business. Peace and love.
Appreciate you, Bakari. Anthony, want to shout anything out this week?
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, one thing I want to shout out, man, happy belated birthday to Brother Bakari. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think his birthday, he just had a birthday recently, man. So
That's
happy
right.
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday to Brother Bakari. And I want to shout out the Bitter Medicine Podcast and KWAZ Radio and all us, man, you know, all us, because we brothers and sisters, we family. And I want to say thank you for us coming together and normalizing disagreeing to disagree. You know what I'm saying? We could all have a different opinion, but we ain't got to fuss and fight. We ain't got to call each other out their name. We ain't got to act like no high school children. You know what I'm saying? We could disagree to disagree. We need to normalize that. Hey, I don't agree with that, brother, but I still love you. I don't agree with that, sister, but I still love you. And I'll leave it at that, man.
And let me say one more thing before you pass. I'm gonna give a shout out to myself for not cussing the Zulu out this week. He actually said some stuff I agree with.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I said. Bakari and Zulu didn't get into it.
Boy.
I've been going through my self-reflection. I've been talking to. I had to go through certain things. I ain't doing that no more. I ain't got to have that chip on my shoulder.
Bakari, at the end of the day, Bakari, we brothers, man, and we love. Hey, I love Brother Bakari. I love Brother Koku. I love Brother Azuli. You know, and Brother Buana and Black Steel and Pro Black Perspective. And I forget, one other thing. I just put my order in for the Book of Power, so it'll be coming next week.
Oh, shout out!
Okay. I promote it all the time on my IG channel.
Yes, he does actually. You'll be surprised. Anthony shouts out all the shows on his channel, like all the people that we are mutuals with, like Nine Obafemi and stuff like that, who I plan to have on in the next week or two. Also, Bakari, good interview today. Send me the brother's info. I'll connect with him.
Hey, Koku. I connected with that sister. I'm sorry. I connected with that sister, African Unification channel, and I told her about our channel and everything. And I asked her, did she want? She said she wanted to connect.
Yeah,
I put it on your IV. I put it on your IG site.
Yeah. I sent her a note. I didn't hear back from her, but I'll follow up with her now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Pro Black Perspective. Oni, you want to shout anything out this week?
Yeah, I want to shout out my woman in Tanzania. I'll do that because I'm hungry as a mofo right now. She used to cook for me. I don't know if y'all know. Like, I don't know, man. I started eating ramen noodles and stuff. I don't know, man. I can't be living this life, man. I need a wife. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna try to get back out to Tanzania just so I can eat again. Like food, guys. Come on, get the head out of the gutter. All right, you know, Rastaman, I knew that. No, I'm joking. I'm just messing. All right.
I didn't know passport bros have women cook for them.
We didn't know that's what you paid for. We thought it was something else, I guess. We appreciate you though. Thanks for coming through. Only you have a show in the morning?
Oh yeah. This show's gonna be pretty good. So we're gonna talk about Dessalines' speech. Obviously, it's not gonna be the direct French translation, but he speaks about this situation in Martinique and Guadeloupe, right? A lot of us don't know about this, especially since we were talking about Guadeloupe last week, matter of fact. But a lot of people don't know that they also tried to do a revolution, and they kind of didn't include the mulattoes. Okay, so it was just Africans, and then they lost, and the French like some of the leaders, the French like blew them up, exploded them on a whatever, right? And so Dessalines was moved by this, and that's part of the reason why in the Haitian Revolution they used mulatto. So in this speech, he talks about it, And I'm gonna just try to read over the speech and just go over that with y'all. But it's pretty interesting, history.
Appreciate that, Oni. We'll tune in. Last but not least, Buana, what you want to shout out this week?
Yeah, first of all, let me say, happy birthday to Uncle Bakari. I didn't know it was his birthday. I know he's going to nightclubs. He'd be going out to a lot of nightclubs. I hope Brother Bakari ain't going out to nightclubs in his members only jacket. His members only 1987 Dodge jacket on. Trying to get chicks and shit. You gotta. But happy birthday, Uncle Bakari. Happy birthday, brother. Yeah, happy birthday. Also, let me say, oh yes, the Matrix, the matron. The matron is the matron, and also Oni from time to time. They are introducing the YouTube to Black audio books. Black audio books are extremely important in an age where people don't read books anymore. So the fact that these people are taking their time out to read books that we consider to be a very, very important book, you gotta.
The matron is my hero.
Buana seemed to have fallen off. Buana.
Yeah, y'all can hear me?
I don't know.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I said is the matron and Oni are introducing the YouTube world to Black books, which we consider to be very important. We don't have audio books out there like we need to. These books we consider in the Black community, in the Black world, very important. And the fact that they're taking their time out to do it, we need to support that. So, if you can support it financially, throw a hand to the matron for reading these books. Throw some money in Oni direction for reading these, what we believe to be very important books, because we don't have any audio books, and the young brothers and sisters, since they don't read anymore, they would listen to the audio books. And the fact that these people are spending their time to do that, throw a hand if you could in their direction financially, if you could. I ain't saying break the bank, but just, give them your financial support if you can, in support of them introducing the Black world to audiobooks, because we don't have a lot of these things out here. Lastly, I would say shout out to everybody who contributed on the panel. Everyone did well in giving their insights on different kinds of things. Very, very insightful. Nobody threw a blow. Nobody fight. It was extremely peaceful tonight for the brothers. And I think that we did a good job tonight in introducing our version of good information to the world. So I would just stop it there. And I would say you all be safe, brothers, until next week.
Yeah, this is the way it should always be.
Absolutely. I want to thank everyone for hanging out.
Azuli, you heard that right? Azuli, you heard that. This is how it should always be. Azuli.
Us working together, man. If we got to follow this talk. Yeah. I'm sorry, Coco.
No. It's good. Yeah. We should be having conversations, not arguments.
We
thank
family,
everyone who's on the panel tonight. Absolutely. Thank everyone who was on the panel tonight. We had a new guy, Kofi the Critic, was with us tonight. Thanks to him, we had a few new people out in the chat. I didn't shout out the forecast. He was out there. Sister Raw was out there. And someone else I think I missed.
I thought the forecast today, man.
Oh, okay, good. So shout out to everyone who was there. We'll be back next week. I'll make sure I can be here next week with you guys to hang out. Here's what I'm going to shout out this week. I'm going to shout out what a lot of you guys were talking about earlier, which is this group right here. Perfection. The number one kindles the essence. Rap ain't about busting caps and fucking bitches. It's about fluency with rhyme and ingenuity. All of this is new to me. See, I keep rhymes with scrutiny. Under a microscope, I walk a tightrope. A thin line between insanity and sanity. Mixed with a little vanity. Boosting your morality with viral hospitality. Soon to strike it rich like calories, salaries. Sounds like a plan. And I will expand hip-hop as well. Might even kick a little impromptu to stop you weaklings. Speaking things foreign to the human ear that you will hear now. You like it or not, my plots bring a
it tonight from the situation and all the stipulations. The shit you wasted time on, you pause. It was planned like that, but we can't fight back like David Horowitz is.
We'll get a lot of them talking about that good stuff.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.